Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Wrestling Entertainment. This is Joel Perez here, back once again for another edition of your weekly episodic news show. This is Behind the Mic, and it is Behind the Mic, episode number 45. I hope all of you are having a lovely weekend. I know I will have a very exciting weekend, particularly based on what we're watching tonight at 8 p.m. on the WWE Network, NXT TakeOver War Games. I am buzzing for War Games, and I'm sure that if you have a brain and you watch NXT, because quite honestly, NXT is blissful, you are watching War Games, and you're excited for War Games just like I am. So it's going to be a big night here tonight for NXT, and as well as the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel, where we will be reviewing War Games, and previewing predictions for War Games were uploaded last night on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. So if you did not check that out, make sure to go check that out. We were talking everything regarding War Games, preview and predictions for Survivor Series, uploaded on Thursday. I actually re-uploaded it on Friday because YouTube did not push that out, so we had to re-upload it. Doing a little bit better now. So make sure to go check out your Survivor Series 2017 preview and predictions, because both Survivor Series and War Games will be reviewed on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Big weekend as far as WWE shows go, and the buzz is kind of all surrounding that. So there's not a lot of news, but the news I was able to gather, it is exciting news regarding the future of the WWE, not particularly regarding War Games or the Survivor Series. So we're going to be talking about those news stories right here on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. But of course, before we get into that, make sure to go check out all the other content on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Raw and Smackdown reviews for this week are uploaded, like I mentioned. Survivor Series and NXT TakeOver War Games preview and predictions are on the channel right now for your viewing pleasure. And of course, Survivor Series and War Games reviews coming. If you do not want to miss any of that, best way to support and stay tuned to the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel is to subscribe to the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Get those videos straight to your subscription box, as well as clicking on that notification bell. Make sure to click on that notification bell. You'll get those videos straight to your mobile device as soon as I upload, and as soon as YouTube decides to work. That will go straight to your mobile device via notification. Of course, make sure to like if you like what you're enjoying here, and of course, make sure to comment what you think of all the news stories. And speaking of the news stories, we got a whole bunch of them. The main one being a WrestleMania 34 match that I think everybody wants to see, currently being set as the plan for WrestleMania 34, and that excites the hell out of me. That's going to be the main news story here today on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. We've got news on Paige and her return, and the news on her return, many thought she was supposed to return last week, or this week I should say, on Monday Night Raw or Smackdown Live. Apparently that was not the plan. A WWE superstar, David Otunga, pulled from Survivor Series due to a domestic dispute, and we will talk about that very vividly right here on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel, because I have things to say there. We've got news on the real reason why Triple H joins Team Raw going into the Survivor Series tomorrow. Triple H and Vince McMahon and their arguments over the plans going into Survivor Series. Interesting things right there. And a Monday Night Raw superstar reportedly turning heel very soon on Raw. So we got a lot of news here. Some regarding the Survivor Series, some not so much, but some exciting news going into the future of the WWE. And if you like all those news stories. And if you're excited to hear what we're going to be talking about right here on Behind the Mic episode number 45, I want to ask a favor of you, and that is to stay tuned, because we're going straight into the news stories. And we start off here with this news story about the WWE Championship match and the plan for what that match is going in to WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans next year. WrestleMania 34 is still 5 months away, but the road to the biggest event of 2018 will start in 2 months. Diehard fans already know what Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, and that being locked in as the main event for the Universal Championship, unfortunately. But what about the WWE Championship? The latest rumor suggests that the WWE has already a match in mind that will make a lot of fans happy. It's certainly going to make me happy. According to Cage Side Seats, AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE Championship may very well be the plan for WrestleMania 34, and hopefully it is the plan for WrestleMania 34. Styles and Nakamura recently teased their dream match in a live event in Italy last week. It has led to a lot of speculation that it could finally be happening, but fans should not get their hopes up, because Vince McMahon has been changing his minds a lot lately. If you're not up to date with the current WWE situation, the company made a lot of changes in the Survivor Series match card. Kurt Angle will lose his job as the general manager of Monday Night Raw if they lose. AJ Styles is the new WWE Champion. Triple H and John Cena are back. 2 more title changes happened, and the Shield versus the New Day is finally happening. As recapped by WWE.com, AJ Styles won the WWE Championship 2 weeks ago from Jinder Mahal in Manchester, England. Styles will now face Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series, and he is expected to keep the WWE title for quite some time. There were rumors of Mahal winning back the WWE Championship in India, but he is now scheduled to face Triple H, and of course that's only going to be 1 date instead of 2. On the other hand, Shinsuke Nakamura is part of Team Smackdown Live, and he currently has no program on the main roster. Nakamura is set to challenge Baron Corbin for the United States Championship at the upcoming Starrcade Live event, which sounds atrocious, but however, it might not be a long-term feud, because Corbin should be established as a top heel again, while Nakamura's image needs to be repaired after being wrecked by the Jinder train, and I agree with that. Styles and Nakamura closed out the WWE's recent European tour in Florence, Italy, at the Nelson Mandela Forum by teasing a WrestleMania 34 match for the WWE Championship. According to WrestleZone, Styles asked the crowd what they thought about he and Nakamura battling it out next year in New Orleans, the site of WrestleMania 34. It should be noted that these are still just speculations at the moment, and nothing has been confirmed. The WWE has even acknowledged Styles and Nakamura's WrestleMania 34 tease as a dream match. Styles and Nakamura already had an amazing match at New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom 10 back in 2016 before they signed with the WWE. Nakamura and AJ Styles is completely the way to go for WrestleMania 34. If you're going to give us a disappointment, a complete and colossal failure that will be Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, you at least have to do something to make up for that. And this is the way to do that. This is definitely the way to do that. AJ Styles and Nakamura is a matchup that a lot of people want to see, and for good reason. These two are probably the 2 best in-ring performers that you have on all of WWE's roster right now. We've seen the amazing match they had at New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom 10. We all seen that match. We all went and saw that match, and that was a great match. And if you haven't seen it, I suggest you go watch it, because it was a great match. But you know you want to see that match on a grander scale, on the grand scale that is WrestleMania. And to be quite honest, there is no better thing that WWE could do. Now, the excitement of this matchup has kind of been dwindled by the fact that WWE has booked Nakamura terribly, and AJ Styles has been booked well, but that's because he's AJ motherfucking Styles. Nakamura, he has hit a couple bumps in the road. He really, really has. In this match, in this feud, I should say, with Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal and Nakamura did nothing but hurt the credibility of Nakamura, and now he's kind of been floating around doing nothing. That's when you take these couple months, rebuild Nakamura. Yeah, maybe do put him in the United States Championship picture with Mr. Baron Corbin. Have him kind of do some things there, and have him be built up. Have him win the Royal Rumble. Have us go towards a dream match between AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura going into WrestleMania 34. It's what everybody wants to see, and to be quite honest, it's what we need to see. Because if you're really planning to have Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar be the other co-main event for WrestleMania, you are going to have trouble on your hands. Especially if you decide to have Jinder Mahal win back the WWE Championship from AJ Styles, like you know WWE had in mind at one point, and you go towards Jinder Mahal and John Cena. You know things are going to be bad if WWE goes that direction, and Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles is needed in that WWE Championship slot, because as well as it being a saving grace to a WrestleMania that's not looking good on the other end with the Universal Championship match, I mean, on the other hand as well, WWE needs something to compete with New Japan. I mean, look at New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom 11, or 12 I should say, that they're planning for this year. I don't even know what it is. 11, 12? I don't even know. But look at New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom that they're planning for this year, bro. You've got, this year, for Wrestle Kingdom 12, I believe, you got Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega, which already is a big enough match on its own. But on top of that, you got Naito versus Kazuchika Okada. On top of that, Kota Ibushi versus Cody Rhodes. I mean, those three matches alone would steal any WWE show. Any WWE show. But all three of those matches on one New Japan show, WWE is going to have to assemble some type of card that will make WrestleMania at least somewhat compete with that. Because right now, WrestleMania looks like it sucks. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar sounds like a crappy goddamn matchup, but really it's the only way to go at this point. WWE has booked themselves into a corner. I don't see them taking the title off of Brock Lesnar. If you had an opportunity to take that title off of Brock Lesnar, it already passed. I mean, Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar, that was an opportunity at Great Balls of Fire. You passed right by that. Brock Lesnar beat Samoa Joe with one F5. That Fatal 4-Way, you still could have gave it to Samoa Joe, or maybe even Braun Strowman. Again, WWE passed right by that. Then you had No Mercy, Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar. Another opportunity, you could have given it to Braun Strowman. WWE passed right by that. And as a direct result, WrestleMania is going to suffer, because I can tell you right now, and I've been saying this all year, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar sucks. And if WWE wants to at least somewhat make up for that, they will give us Styles versus Nakamura. Because this is honestly a main event people want to see. And it's going to be a damn good matchup. It could possibly take the entire show if it is the main event of WrestleMania. So make that happen, WWE. Do not screw us over, bro. Because you can have something very, very special on your hands if you want to. Styles versus Nakamura. Book it. We move on to this story, which I just find absolutely despicable. David Otunga sent home or pulled from the Survivor Series due to domestic battery allegations. The WWE is holding the Survivor Series pay-per-view event this weekend, and the company hoped to focus all their fans' attention on the big show. However, at the same time that Hollywood superstars are finding their lives turned upside down thanks to sexual assault allegations, and NFL stars are sitting on the sidelines due to domestic abuse allegations, the WWE finally saw one of their superstars in the limelight for all the wrong reasons. TMZ reported that Oscar winner Jennifer Hudson and WWE superstar David Otunga have separated after 10 years together. To add to the problems for Otunga and Hudson, there are also new allegations that Hudson had issued a protective order against Otunga because she's afraid he wants to hurt her. Hudson and Otunga separated a few months ago, but Otunga has remained the primary caregiver for their 8-year-old son. Hudson called the police and asked them to remove Otunga from their home because she claimed he was a danger to their son. The reports indicate that the WWE superstar learned that Hudson was dating someone else, and that led her to fear for her life. The police showed up and had Otunga pack a suitcase and leave. The reports also indicate that the former couple has been trying to hammer out custody arrangements for several weeks now. TMZ most recently reported that Jennifer Hudson has since claimed that David Otunga physically abused her and that she and not Otunga was the primary caregiver for their child. Otunga's attorneys have rejected these claims and said Hudson is lying about everything. The WWE and David Otunga immediately announced they were pulling him from the Survivor Series show, where he was scheduled to work the show as a commentator. According to TMZ, David Otunga said that he felt it was necessary to pull out of the Survivor Series show and focus on his child's custody battle, as well as the new allegations by Jennifer Hudson. This being one of the biggest shows of the year for the WWE, Otunga pulling out was a huge decision. The biggest problem here is that the WWE could possibly want to distance themselves from the situation until David Otunga and Jennifer Hudson work this out. With all the problems in Hollywood and other entertainment circles, this is not a controversy the WWE wants to deal with. Cage Side Seats did report that David Otunga pulling out of Survivor Series was 100% his decision and not mandated by the WWE. If any of this being said about David Otunga is true, this man is an absolute piece of shit. I read further reports on this, on reports that were speaking more in detail about what Jennifer Hudson had stated, and they were saying that David Otunga had a gun used to probably intimidate Hudson or some shit like that. And if any of that is true, this guy is a complete disgrace, and I would completely fire him from the WWE if it were my call. He would be fired. He would be fired. He would be fired to begin with. He wouldn't even be hired, if you ask me, because this guy is terrible in his role to begin with. He is an awful fucking commentator. Holy shit, is David Otunga garbage on commentary. My God. No wonder they took this guy off the Smackdown Live commentary team the first opportunity they got. It's awful. But to end your home life, be pretty much taking advantage of your wife and your relationship with your child and your child being young, that's really not something that you should be doing, and that shows that this guy has mental issues. He has aggression issues, and it's really not my point to stand on. I really don't care about this situation. I just want this guy to be gone from his position, because if this is what he is doing, he should not be working for the WWE. He should not be working for the WWE based on his skill level and the fact that he should not be in that role because he sucks. And for him to be doing this on top of that, he should just not be employed with the WWE. If anything that Jennifer Hudson is saying is truth, then I mean, really, I feel bad for her, and your condolences really do need to go out to her, because holy shit, this guy seems to be real fucked up. Does David Otunga? This guy needs to be terminated immediately, bro, because you want to take advantage of your role, and in your personal life you want to be doing all this fucking shit to your wife and your child. Are you kidding me? That's really not what somebody in a role with such a massive publicly traded company with WWE usually does. It's really not. It's not usually something anybody should do. So the fact that this guy has domestic dispute charges and multiple people have been fired due to this domestic dispute charges from the WWE before, I think this guy shouldn't be in the WWE, and he should be fired. I'm sure there are multiple people foaming at the mouth to take the position of David Otunga, and I bet those people who are foaming at the mouth will do a million times of a better job than David Otunga. This guy is terrible. Get him out of there. Get him out of there. That's it. Let's move on. We move on to the story on Paige, and when the anti-diva is going to return to the WWE. All week long, as my fucking phone goes off, Twitter goes off, Mauro Ranallo and two more are tweeting about War Games. I don't care. All week long, the WWE Universe was watching and waiting for Paige to make her WWE return on Raw or SmackDown Live. It's been over a year since she appeared on WWE television, and so much has changed. A lot of people remain hopeful that she will be returning this Sunday for WWE Survivor Series. That remains a possibility, but it's coming to light that WWE officials have some specific plans for her WWE comeback. It's being reported that WWE officials were never planning for Paige to make her return to WWE television this week or at Survivor Series. Apparently the plan was always, or has always been, for her to wait until after the pay-per-view to make her comeback. On paper, that means the WWE Universe should continue watching next week to see if Paige returns to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live. At this point, she could return to either brand. It's important to note that WWE officials have made a ton of changes to the Survivor Series card, so it still isn't out of the question for Paige to make a return on Sunday night. It's rumored that Nikki Bella may also be running for the final spot on Team SmackDown. Oh yeah, that's actually right. The final slot, since Charlotte won the championship, it's been said that the final slot, right? I think that's what they were saying for SmackDown Live's women's team. It's vacant. Why wouldn't they just put Natalya in there? I was under the impression that they just put Natalya in there. Now I think I have to do my research. Has WWE filled that slot yet? I'm about to search that up right here. And I just searched it up here, and yeah, Natalya 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago on Saturday. Really, WWE? You couldn't have just announced this on SmackDown. Yeah, Natalya 2 hours ago was announced for that slot. So this is debunked. This part of the article is debunked. WWE officials could go with her, Natalya, or Paige, and they have gone with Natalya, but the latter would likely receive the strongest reaction since the fans are waiting for her return to WWE. The most important thing is, if Paige is being kept off WWE television until after Survivor Series, there's a good chance that WWE officials have something huge prepared for her creatively. Paige is expected to get a major push upon her return. On paper, Asuka is expected to dominate Raw for the foreseeable future, and a run on SmackDown could be a great thing for Paige, considering how deep the roster already is there. Hopefully her WWE comeback begins sooner rather than later, because the fans will continue to raise their expectations every week that Paige does not return, or that doesn't return. It's unlikely that she'll be winning a women's title over the next couple months, but she is expected to make a major impact on Raw or SmackDown. Paige has not been on WWE television for a long time, so it's really important that she makes her presence known as fast as possible. The perfect time, maybe at Survivor Series, but WWE officials have the final decision to make. So Natalya has been announced for the fifth member. I don't know why they didn't just announce that on SmackDown. That's just the way WWE operates. They want to make everything a fucking mystery, but Paige returning to WWE is only good for the women's division, and I think she completely should return to SmackDown because Asuka, like the article said, is going to be dominating Monday Night Raw for the foreseeable future. She is, and there's not going to be any room for a Paige in that sequence. But you look at SmackDown Live right now, and SmackDown Live is in this position where we've seen the 5 women on this show who are on this brand in matches against each other. It's been like 3 times that we've seen the same Fatal 5-Way with the same 5 women. It's tiring, and you can use a Paige to freshen that up. Then you bring up Peyton Royce and Billie Kay from NXT, and SmackDown Live's women's division is looking good, bro. I like that idea, bro. You've got a nice division then, because Paige, Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, Charlotte, Becky, Lana, or I'm not counting Lana. I'm counting women that can actually be used. Carmella, Tamina. I don't want to see Tamina on my screen either, so I ain't counting her. Carmella, Natalya, and who the hell else? Who the hell else is on SmackDown Live? And Naomi. So that's 8 women. That is 8 women, and that's a nice division. I mean, that is a very, very nice division right there. And if you want to throw in Tamina and Lana, who I don't know why you would, that's 10 women. But 8 women is very, very good, where right now, excluding Tamina and Lana, you have 5 women on SmackDown Live. So you bring Paige to SmackDown, and you put in Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, and you got a nice division on SmackDown Live. Meanwhile, Monday Night Raw is looking pretty nice right now as well. You got Bayley and Sasha, who, if you book them correctly, can be used. Mickie James. You got Alexa. You got Asuka. You got Nia. You got Alicia. So you got a division there, and if Emma was still there, you'd have 8. But you have 7 women on Monday Night Raw. Your women's rosters are looking pretty alright as far as that goes right now. They are looking pretty good. So, I mean, you can work with something. You really, really can. So I say you move Paige to SmackDown Live, freshen that division up, which completely needs a refresher. Bring Billie Kay and Peyton Royce into that equation, and you can do something nice. Perhaps Paige can go into the women's title picture on SmackDown Live. I mean, it's certainly viable. I mean, you got Paige in there. Paige versus Becky. Ooh. Paige versus Natalya. That's a nice matchup. Paige versus Naomi. Paige versus Charlotte. Paige versus the iconic duo, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. You got things to do there. There's fresh matches that present themselves, and I like that. So you should definitely bring Paige back. Bring her back. Start giving her momentum, have her win against Tamina, have her win against Lana, get some wins under her belt, and push her back into that division as a main player, bro. You can really use Paige on SmackDown Live right now. You can really use anybody on your SmackDown Live women's division, and I think the return of Paige would certainly be welcome, and I'm glad that Paige is returning. I'm glad she got over this Alberto Del Rio shit, bro. Holy shit. Paige would have stayed with Alberto Del Rio, which now they're broken up, and then this asshole Alberto Del Rio wants to be fucking talking about in interviews that he's still with Paige. No, you're not with Paige anymore, you freak. Holy shit, but thank God Paige got over this. She's clearly young, she's clearly dumb, and she got in this relationship with this older man who seems to be fucking crazy, and it didn't go well. But she's out of that now. She probably learned a lot from that, and hopefully she's gotten past that and she's ready to come back to work and ready to be the Paige we all know and love, not this Paige that we seen before she left and she went on this hiatus, who just really did not give a shit about what she was doing. Hopefully this is the Paige who won that NXT Women's Championship, came up and beat AJ Lee on her first night on Raw, who had that excitement in her. Hopefully that is the Paige we're seeing, because if it is that Paige, we've got a hell of a performer coming back to WWE television. So that is the latest on Paige. She will be returning after the Survivor Series. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on here. We've got news on the reason why Triple H has joined Team Raw. Over the past couple weeks, the card for WWE Survivor Series has undergone some huge changes. There have been a lot of title changes and some major decisions have been made, but one of the biggest came out of nowhere during Monday Night Raw this week. The WWE Universe was shocked to see the Game make his return to television. It was brief, but Triple H announced that he is replacing Jason Jordan on Team Raw. He'll join Kurt Angle, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, and Samoa Joe on Sunday to take on Smackdown at WWE Survivor Series. There have been a lot of rumors about Triple H returning to WWE television, but it was expected to happen at a later date. The WWE Universe is wondering why the Game has returned to WWE programming for Survivor Series, but the reason why isn't going to be as surprising to most people. It has been reported that the reason is WWE officials want even more star power in the match. Despite the fact that Kurt Angle, John Cena, Shane McMahon, and others are already in the match, the powers that be felt it was necessary for Triple H to return to ensure the match gets enough attention from the fans, especially with everything else on the card. He has also been wrestling consistently on live events, so it was an easy choice. The Game being a part of the match adds several interesting dynamics because he will have the opportunity to exchange blows with some new WWE superstars. For instance, Triple H will get to share the ring for the first time with Shinsuke Nakamura, Bobby Roode, and others that are on Raw's side. It has been rumored that another reason for Triple H's involvement will be to begin a rivalry with Kurt Angle for WrestleMania. It is unclear if Triple H is back on WWE television full time, but WWE officials clearly have an end game in mind for him. The Game's involvement in the match will only add more elements and possibilities to the powers that be. Adding more star power to the card has only made Survivor Series even more anticipated. Yes, this is going to be a catalyst or a Kickstarter for the Triple H and Kurt Angle feud. That's at least what I'm thinking. Maybe Triple H will cost Team Raw the win so Kurt Angle could be fired and Stephanie McMahon can announce him as the new general manager of Monday Night Raw, and the Authority will return on Monday Night Raw. Maybe that will be what happens. I mean, Triple H being on WWE television, I really don't mind that. It's clearly made the matchup at Survivor Series more exciting. I mean, look at the star power in this matchup. You see not one superstar in that matchup who isn't future world champion. I mean, Shane McMahon, you already know what he's done. Kurt Angle, you already know what he's done. Triple H, you already know what he's done. John Cena, you already know what he's done. Same thing goes for Randy Orton. But look at Samoa Joe. Look at Braun Strowman. Look at Finn Balor. Look at Nakamura. Look at Roode. And them mixing it in with all these big goddamn names. Look at that, bro. And that is exciting, to say the least. I mean, there's a lot of big talent in this matchup, and I'm sure everybody participated in this matchup is excited to be in it. And everybody is anticipating this matchup because I know I am. We've seen what they did last year in the 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination matchup, and that matchup had nowhere near the caliber of talent that this match had. Now you look at this year, and I'm just wondering what they are going to do in this matchup, because holy shit, they can damn well do a lot, bro. This is looking to be big, and Triple H taking out Jason Jordan, there's no complaints to be had there. Jason Jordan, looking at all this talent, stuck out like a sore thumb. Triple H replacing him, Triple H don't stick out. He fit right into that equation of big names, bro. and it's just making the matchup more exciting. And matter of fact, it will probably make the matchup better, because when Triple H does get in that ring, it's going to be very, very exciting to see him mix it up with a Nakamura, to see him mix it up with a Bobby Roode, to see him in there for, I think, the first time with Shane McMahon. It's going to be cool to see Triple H fighting those names. It really, really is. And on top of that, it's going to kick off a feud that a lot of people are excited to see in Kurt Angle versus Triple H. Wouldn't have been the first matchup I would have chosen for Kurt Angle to have as a singles matchup at WrestleMania. I would have put Kurt Angle in there, maybe with a Finn Balor, maybe with a Samoa Joe. That would have been a lot more exciting to me, personally. Maybe even with Jason Jordan, because there is storyline there, and I have news on Jason Jordan turning heel later in this video. But, I mean, Triple H versus Kurt Angle does present an exciting storyline, and it certainly makes sense. Stephanie McMahon clearly not being the biggest fan of Kurt Angle, and there being history there to begin with from back in the day. So, I don't know which way WWE is going to go with this. They can go many different routes with this, but I certainly think that this is, at the end of the day, going to result in Triple H versus Kurt Angle. The possibility a lot of people aren't discussing is maybe it will result in Triple H versus Shane McMahon, which is a matchup a lot of people want to see. And if there was one matchup that I want to see Triple H in, it is that rivalry with Shane McMahon, because the builds to that would be very, very good. The things that can be said in promos between Shane McMahon and Triple H, that would be a cool feud if you ask me, and that would free up Kurt Angle to go into a feud with Jason Jordan. So I'm not sure which way WWE wants to go with this, but Triple H coming in to the Survivor Series matchup certainly opens the door to a lot of different feuds down the line going into WrestleMania, and I think that excites a lot of people. Him being in the match to begin with excites me, and it's going to be very interesting to see what role Triple H is going to play when Survivor Series does go down. You go back and watch my preview and predictions on Thursday that I made on Survivor Series, and it was just me trying to put together the puzzle pieces. How is this all going to come together? Because there's so many things that can happen in the Survivor Series matchup. You're going to have something happen with Triple H. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn aren't in Survivor Series, so you're going to have them try to screw over Smackdown in some capacity. You have Jason Jordan looming, a heel turn for him looming. This guy was taken off the card. You got a bunch of factors as far as interferences going into this Raw versus SmackDown matches. Then on top of that, you have the fact that Kurt Angle will be fired if Raw loses. So, is he going to be fired? Are they going to go that direction and have Kurt Angle fired and replaced perhaps by Triple H? I don't know. So there are a lot of questions that present themselves for the Survivor Series matchup, and it just all adds to the excitement, and it makes you glad that WWE changed this card around. And that kind of directly brings me into the next news story here, because the next news story has to do with Triple H and his multiple arguments with Vince McMahon over the Survivor Series card. Let's talk about this one. Now, clearly, you know what Triple H has planned for his show NXT going into War Games, and according to this rumor, Triple H and Vince McMahon have huge arguments over recent changes. Over the past few weeks, WWE officials have made some big changes to the card for WWE Survivor Series this Sunday. The powers that be haven't been shy to change matches, replace performers, or book a couple title changes to improve the card. Despite all the changes that have occurred on WWE television, NXT has slowly been building to NXT TakeOver War Games without any big problems until a recent disagreement. It was reported that the War Games match will undergo a change from the classic structure. Triple H revealed that the cage won't have a roof, which he explained as an evolution of the concept. Leaving the cage without a roof will give the performers the chance for more high spots and add more some more excitement to the match. But that decision was actually debated by Triple H and Vince McMahon and actually led to a big argument. It's reported that the game wanted the cage to have a roof and Vince didn't. However, McMahon has seniority over Triple H, so he eventually pulled rank and it was confirmed that War Games wouldn't have a roof. On paper, the importance of the roof on the cage was to stay true to the original concept of the match, but Vince McMahon is right in thinking War Games has a fresh start to make the match something new. Inside the structure, Sanity, the Undisputed Era, and the Authors of Pain along with Roderick Strong will collide in one of the most unique matches in wrestling history. With the cage open, there are more creative things to do in the match. That may take away from the feeling that all 9 men are locked in together, but Vince McMahon must have had some ideas if he felt the need to play his trump card to keep the cage open. Many fans have wanted to see WWE bring back War Games for quite a long time, so the NXT universe will have high expectations for the match. The match needs to be well received if WWE officials are ever going to have another one or even bring the concept to the main roster someday. NXT TakeOver War Games will be an entertaining show, but it could be remembered as something special if Vince McMahon was right. Now, Vince McMahon has many ideas, and he is clearly trying to impose these ideas onto NXT. Now, I don't know if this was Vince McMahon just saying, take the roof off the cage because NXT is so fucking perfect and I don't want it to be. So you know what? Take the roof off the cage. If it goes well, it goes well. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Fuck yourself. It's my show. It's my WWE. I don't care what you think. So maybe that's the way Vince McMahon is going about this. That NXT is so fucking perfect, and maybe Vince McMahon is trying to undermine NXT, trying to throw a curveball at them, because maybe they had some plans, the NXT writers, to do something with the roof of the cage and have the roof of the cage add to the atmosphere of the matchup, and now they can't do that. Now they gotta kind of rewrite the matchup and put in some spots where the roof of the cage is gone. So maybe that's what Vince McMahon is thinking. Maybe Vince McMahon genuinely wants this matchup to go down a certain way, and when he heard the announcement of War Games, when he looked at this announcement of War Games, he wanted to play directly into the booking and the way this matchup would go on, because he wants to make this concept as special as he possibly can. I don't know. I do not know how the roof of the cage and the cage not having a roof is going to affect this matchup. But Triple H, he's got to be mad somewhat here, because Vince McMahon has been so hands-off with NXT. NXT has been the baby of Triple H, and now Triple H, being a father, is being told what to do by his grandfather. Hey, you're my dad, sure. And Triple H is probably saying to Vince, yeah, you're my dad, but this is my baby. You don't tell me how to raise my kid. Is probably what Triple H feels like right now, because NXT has been Triple H's baby. He has crafted this from the ground and developed it into what it is today. And now here's Vince McMahon coming in, the grandfather, and he wants to tell the dad how to raise his child. And I mean, Triple H doesn't like that. Thus the argument. But clearly there's been a lot of changes to Survivor Series and stuff like that, and this plays in to that series of changes. Vince McMahon came right in and said, I don't want the roof on the cage. And Vince McMahon didn't want the roof on the cage, so there's no roof on the cage. Do I think it will make the match better? Maybe it will make the match better. I don't know. Maybe it will. I mean, it certainly does make the matchup more of an athletic matchup. You know you're going to see somebody climb to the top of that cage and do some big-ass move off the top of that cage, and it's going to get a huge pop from all the Smart Mark fans sitting in the NXT arena. You know it's going to get a huge pop, so it's going to lead to a huge spot. There not being a roof on the cage. It does lead to that, so Vince McMahon has a point there. It is a different age of wrestling to when we've seen the original War Games matchup. I mean, now We're at an age of wrestling where it is a lot more high-flying, and I can see Roderick Strong jumping off of that cage fucking 50 different times and using it to his advantage. I can see Nikki Cross climbing in the cage and that being a segment of the matchup. So there's no doubt in my mind that even though Triple H didn't originally want and plan for the War Games matchup to look like this and to be in this capacity, I think NXT, like they always do, is going to take this curveball that Vince McMahon has thrown at them, whether it's through jealousy or not, which I'm kind of leaning towards the fact that it's jealousy. I am, because, I mean, you look at all the changes that Vince McMahon has made to the Survivor Series. I think that's to compete with War Games, and I've been saying all week, I think it's that Vince McMahon wants to compete with War Games because you look at how shitty the Survivor Series card looked originally with Jinder Mahal versus Brock Lesnar. Are you kidding me? And then they looked at War Games and said, shit, War Games is going to blow us out of the water. And I still think War Games is going to be better, but, I mean, it's definitely improved. So I think, despite whatever curveball Vince McMahon throws Triple H and the NXT writing crew, they're still going to take this curveball and they're going to use it to their advantage, and we're going to see some great spots off the top of the cage, despite what Triple H originally had planned. So I think, if you ask me, this is out of jealousy, and Vince McMahon is saying, I don't want you, the B promotion, probably the C promotion in Vince McMahon's mind, because, I mean, Smackdown is the B show, right? So, Vince McMahon doesn't want the yellow brand outstaging him. I think that's what's happened here, because they always outstage him. Look at what they've done with superstars like Joe, Balor, Nakamura, and then what have Joe, Balor, and Nakamura become on the main roster? Nakamura was beaten by Jinder Mahal twice. Are you kidding me? So I think this is out of jealousy. I think Vince McMahon is outright jealous that War Games is going to be so much better than Survivor Series. And I mean, why shouldn't it be, bro? Why shouldn't it be? War Games is going to be fucking great. We move on here to the final news story regarding this bum, Jason Jordan. And he is going to be turning heel, according to the reports, very, very soon on Monday Night Raw. And I honestly think this can benefit the career of Jason Jordan significantly. Survivor Series is just several days away, and there are a lot of rumors surrounding the event. Some of the speculations involve interference and heel turns. One of the rumored heel turns is Kurt Angle's son, Jason Jordan, who was kicked off of Team Monday Night Raw by his father and Triple H. As recapped by WWE.com, Triple H returns on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw to announce that he is the 5th member of Team Raw for Survivor Series. He replaced Jordan, who suffered a kayfabe knee injury in his match with Bray Wyatt earlier in that night. Angle was reluctant to say the 5th member, so the game had to make the surprise appearance. Triple H also delivered the pedigree to Jordan for good measure. This has led to some speculation that Jordan is going to turn heel at Survivor Series and cost Monday Night Raw the win. It is a very interesting rumor because if Team Raw loses, Angle will get fired as the general manager of the Red Brands, as announced by Stephanie McMahon. There are also some wrestling outlets reporting that the current plan for WrestleMania 34 is Triple H versus Kurt Angle. However, the involvement of Jordan may only make things more interesting. According to Cage Side Seats, the speculations about Jordan turning heel could be true, and it might happen sooner rather than later. The heel turn might happen at Survivor Series or the next night on Monday Night Raw, or even early next year as the WWE prepares for Road to WrestleMania 34. The jury is still out on Jordan as a future megastar for the WWE. He started as a member of American Alpha with Chad Gable before being moved to Monday Night Raw this year and introduced as Kurt Angle's long-lost son in a storyline that I think has been a colossal failure. But the obviousness of the storyline already halted whatever momentum Jordan has after American Alpha. Jordan is not just connecting the audience as much as the WWE wants him to be. He's not completely at fault because the WWE creative team has not given him good storylines. Jordan is not bad in the ring, and he has shown flashes of charisma. Jason Jordan has shown no charisma. This guy is a charisma vacuum, as many people have been saying. And I agree with that completely, but the WWE Universe is not buying into him as a babyface, and it will take something like a heel turn to get him noticed. However, it should be noted that these are still just speculations at the moment. The WWE is known for changing their plans on a regular basis, and if you don't believe that to be true, just take a look at the changes at the Survivor Series match card in the past couple weeks. Jason Jordan shouldn't just turn heel, he needs to turn heel. This guy is absolutely boring as a babyface. He shows no charisma, and I think a heel turn would at least allow this guy to come out of his shell and do something fresh and unique for a change. Because Jason Jordan, despite the fact that he shows no charisma, and you need charisma to be a heel, how many superstars in the past have come out during a heel turn? Just look at Alexa Bliss. She said she played this babyface character down in NXT, and she absolutely showed no charisma. It was awful. But as soon as she started doing this heel work, she kind of came out of her shell with the promos. She kind of became more comfortable in her role. Maybe that same thing, maybe it could be the same case for Jason Jordan. A lot of people have come out in a heel role. They felt natural in that heel role, and they've come out of their shell, and they weren't afraid to bring it out their all in the promo department. So then in the future, when you want to turn Jason Jordan babyface, maybe that time around, he will be more comfortable with any role that is given to him due to the heel turn, and maybe he will actually evoke some confidence, some charisma, something that makes him unique. But of course, to complete that package, you need good fucking storyline, and that's something that the creative team doesn't seem to provide much of, if you ask me, if you pretty much ask anybody. I mean, look at how they booked Nakamura. Look at how they're booking Bobby Roode. Why is Bobby Roode a babyface? Makes no goddamn sense to me. Probably doesn't make any goddamn sense to you, bro. But Jason Jordan, he does have very, very good in-ring ability. No doubt about it. Jason Jordan can go in that ring. You saw the matchup he put on with John Cena and Roman Reigns on Monday Night Raw. He can go inside that ring. It's just up to WWE to complete that package. And the way you complete that package is by getting this guy to come out of his shell, turn him heel, have him become confident with the role, have him grow into the role, and in the future, when you want to turn him babyface, perhaps he will show charisma, perhaps the crowd will have gained his respect due to his work as a heel, and he will be cheered, and they will actually give him a reaction instead of the silence that this guy gets when he comes out. It's awful. It is absolutely awful. Hopefully, Jason Jordan could become something more, and he can grow into a role as a heel, because it is well needed. As far as how you go about that, have him turn heel on an angle. Have it be in an impactful way, and maybe build towards Jason Jordan versus Kurt Angle going into the Royal Rumble, and then going into WrestleMania, you can proceed with Triple H versus Kurt Angle, which seems to be the plan for WWE anyway. So, turn Jason Jordan heel, do something with him, because he is doing absolutely zero as a babyface. So, there you go. That's what I say you do with Jason Jordan. I mean, all the seeds are in place as well. All the seeds are in place as well. I mean, you had Triple H crush this guy's fucking soul. You had him begging like a little baby on the microphone this past week on Monday Night Raw. So, just complete the process. Have him turn heel. Have him turn heel at Survivor Series. Have him screw over Team Raw. Have him get Kurt Angle fired. And build towards a matchup between Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan at the Royal Rumble. That's how you do it, WWE. You put the seeds in place. Just complete the puzzle. There you go. For now, let's move on to the closing segments of the show. For now, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be Behind the Mic episode number 45. I hope you enjoyed each and every single thing that you have heard on this edition of Behind the Mike. Like I said at the beginning of the video, make sure to go check out all the other content on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Raw reviews, Smackdown reviews, pay-per-view preview, and predictions like you've seen on Thursday and Friday. NXT TakeOver review later tonight after that show goes off the air. Survivor Series review tomorrow after that show goes off the air. So make sure to subscribe to the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel so you do not miss any of that content. If you have not subscribed yet, I honestly do not know what you are waiting for, because this is the place where you can get all the content regarding the WWE. You get your Raw reviews, you get your Smackdown reviews, pay-per-view reviews, and of course Behind the Mic, where we cover all the biggest news of the week. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to like this video if you enjoyed what you heard here, make sure to comment what you thought of all these news stories, and of course make sure to check out all the other content, because for now, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Joel Perez of Ringside Wrestling Entertainment, and for now, I am out of here. Thank you very, very much for watching this video. I will see you later tonight for your NXT TakeOver War Games review and results.